How you doing, man?
Good, how you doing?
I'm good. My bad. Hold on one second. For some reason, I can't hear you that well.
You can hear me now?
I can. All right, my bad. Yo, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear
All
you.
right. Cool, cool, cool. How you doing?
Good, how you doing?
I'm great, man. I'm great. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be chatting with you. Huge fan of your work, so super excited to be here.
Definitely appreciate that. Same here. So, for the people on my platform that don't know, can you tell them where you from, what you do?
Yeah. So originally from Zimbabwe, but I live in Atlanta. I've been here for about 15 years. And basically, I'm a podcast nerd. I've been a huge fan of podcasting since 2015. Had my own show since 2019. And now what I do is just provide tips, free information, giveaways for people that are interested in starting their first podcast.
Yeah, that's dope because there's not a lot of resources to go to get like certain information.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And it's so funny that you say that because I think a lot of what I've been seeing is just kind of like, man, there's a lot of information out here, but I don't think people that have good information, they don't do a good job of like distributing it to everybody so that it's like easily accessible.
Right.
So it's like it'll be a whole bunch of stuff out there, but it's like only a select group of people really like know where to look, where to find it. So it's been really cool just kind of like, sharing with people like, yo, you could make three bands just recording a brief podcast commercial. That's dope. If you want to do it, do it. I mean, so it's been cool. I enjoy it a lot.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's fire.
Yeah. But it's also dope just to see all the different ways that like people are podcasting. It could look so different for everybody. Even like this. This is like my first time doing like IG live and it's just such a creative way to be like in front of people. I mean, doing something like unique versus just like a traditional podcast on, Spotify, Apple, whatever your thing is. So it's cool, man.
Yeah, appreciate that. There's so much things with podcasting nowadays.
I know, bro. Even like YouTube, you slick could be on YouTube and call that a podcast. You could be on. I know some people that they only have like a TikTok podcast. So it's like everybody's just doing their own thing. It's kind of like the Wild Wild West.
Yeah, it's about to take over.
Right, right, right.
So, your podcast, what's the name of it? And like, it's on Spotify and everything.
It is. So it's on all platforms, and it's called Thoughts from a Content Creator. And basically, I just talk about like random things. Like my first episode was like why I quit my job to become a freelancer. The second episode was like why I dyed my hair blonde and what that did for my confidence. So it's just like it's random stuff, but it's all some way centered around like fear and kind of like empowering yourself. And I think those things to me are very similar to like the content creator journey, where it's like, dang, if you could overcome your fear of sharing your opinion in front of people, you could start a podcast. If you could overcome your fear of what people might think, you could start. I mean, like, it's all so connected to me. So I've had this podcast now for a few weeks. And then my second podcast is called Foreign Made. It's basically where I interview immigrants in the United States that are doing different things. And I've been doing that since 2019.
Yeah, that's different. That's fire.
Yeah, yeah, it's been
Yeah.
cool. I got a chance to work with a few brands on that one last year, so it was cool to get paid to do it for the first time. And I mean, like, it's weird to think about somebody paying you to do something that you was going to do for free anyway. So, it was really cool. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, that's dope. How was it?
A lot of stress, and a lot of work. And I think like that's something we don't talk enough about. That for most people, if you knew just the amount of work you're gonna have to do now that somebody's paying you, I think most people wouldn't do it. And so it was cool. Like I made the total season was 15 episodes. I made a total of 5,000 on that entire season. And so just the amount of work to like record three ads per episode at the beginning and at the end. Then you got to send them over, get them approved. If they don't like it, they send it back to you. You got to change it. I mean, just all of that back and forth. It's a lot of work. And I think that, um, if you're going to do it, in my opinion, if you're going to do it, don't do it for a few $100s. Just wait so that when you do it, it's a few $1,000s. And then it's like, it's worth it.
Right. All that stress.
Right, right, right. I'm
Yeah.
saying it was that's what all my friends talk about. You'll want somebody to pay you forever and then it'll finally happen and it'll be like, bro, this ain't worth it. Had I known it's gonna be this, I would have done it.
Right. That's crazy.
Yes. Yeah, it's wild.
So, you know, you got two podcasts. You do it all by yourself, or you got a team with you?
Yeah, that's a great question, man. And I feel like last so like my podcast format, I have an entire team. So I have three people. One person is just like the producer. They're responsible for making sure it sounds good. They're the one that's going to be like giving me advice if like the audio is off or maybe you can't hear somebody clearly. The second person was our researcher. She was the person responsible just for like whenever we had a guest, she would do all the research on the guest, put it in the Google Docs. So we already knew like, oh, okay, we need to ask about this. We need to talk about this. And that was just like her whole thing. And then the third person, she was just responsible for social media. So she was the person figuring out like, okay, this is like our posting strategy. These are the platforms. She creates the content and does the posting. And that helped out a lot just because it's like one person show. It's a lot. I think people underestimate how much it's a lot of work.
For
Doing
real.
the social media, the recording, the editing, it's a lot of crap. So hats off to anybody that currently is a one person team. I'm a one person team on my second podcast, and it's stressing me out.
Yeah. Me too. I'm a one person team too.
Yeah, yeah. How long you
Yeah.
been doing it?
Like 3 years, 4 years.
Okay, okay, yeah. Do you feel like you got a good cadence? Like you feel like you got like a good system?
Yeah. It took a
Yeah.
while.
Yeah, that helps a lot. I feel like it just takes a while to get there. Like with my second episode, I don't think I'm there yet. I think I'm still trying to figure out like, okay, like what's my cadence? How do I message guests? Where are my templates? That sort of stuff. But once you get that, I think it really helps a lot.
For real.
Yeah.
Because then you know how to operate.
Facts, facts. And I think it gets like easier because it's like each time you do something, you're getting a little better at it. So at the beginning, it might have been hard for you to like figure out like, yo, how am I going to go into this conversation and interview this guest? But by the time you've been doing it 3 years in, it's like I could do this with the back of my hand, in my sleep. So I think it definitely gets easier.
For real. I mean, so far we've been given like some real podcast gems.
Yeah.
So like, is there any podcast? Because I'm gonna use this episode to send out if anybody needs some advice.
Yeah, yeah.
So, what's like a couple of things you could give to somebody who want to start a podcast?
Yeah. I think like we overcomplicate things. Like we want it to sound good and we want it to sound like A1 quality. And so we overcomplicate the process. And so my advice to everybody is just like, you know, start very simple, start very like do whatever it takes to start. Like don't wait to get a microphone, use your headphones. Like don't wait to get like, I mean, like the perfect guest, ask somebody in your family to be a guest. And so it's like start very, very simple and then each time you do it, you'll get better and better and better. When you get to kind of the point where you're at, where you're just like 3, 4 years in, nobody's gonna go back and listen to your first episode. They're just gonna say, "Yo, what's the most recent episode? Does it sound good? Let me listen to that." And so a lot of people don't even get the chance to get there because like they don't start. And so my advice to people is always just like start ASAP. Your first episode is probably gonna suck. I'm keeping it 100, and that's cool. That's okay, right? Like once you start, you can always get better, but you can't get better if you don't start.
Right. My first episode, I did about some like wave hair grease product. It was trash.
Right. Bro, going back and listening to any past episode, bro, it's hard. It's
Right.
hard. And was your first one a solo?
Yep.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Same here, same here.
Them
Those flick
solo
me the
ones.
hardest.
Yeah, them solo ones.
Yeah.
You
But I feel like though in some ways, really the solos should be easier because it's like when you have to get a guest and it's your first time. Oh my gosh, I can't even imagine like my first time interviewing somebody. You're so nervous. You don't know like the right questions to ask, so it could be kind of difficult. But once you start, it'll definitely get easier.
Oh yeah, definitely. The nerves be kicking in.
Right, 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 right. Exactly, exactly. So.
Yeah. You got any other social media or just Instagram?
Now, I actually am not on Instagram that much. I'm on primarily on TikTok, which I think every single podcaster should be on TikTok just because it's so easy to grow an audience. And so I've been like, I created a new Instagram and a new TikTok, and I've been posting the same content on both from January until now. And so on my Instagram, I think I'm at like 100 and something followers, or maybe 200 followers. But on my TikTok, I'm at like 6,000 followers, and I got like 300,000 views. I mean, I'm working with brands now that are going to be able to pay me based on my TikTok content. And so I recommend everybody get on TikTok, at least for now, while it's still so new, where it's like, dang, you could build a following so much more easier.
Definitely. Yeah, I gotta get into that too.
Yeah, bro, I highly recommend it, bro. Especially with like all the video content you have, you could just download it off IG and put it on TikTok.
Yeah, I'm about to do that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Let me
So
know how it goes too.
definitely. What's your most recent episode that you put out?
Yeah, so it's so funny, man. It's like I'm always warning people, like, yo, when you do a podcast, it's like something's always gonna happen. Like either the guest is gonna be late, I mean, somebody audio is not gonna be working. Like right before I got on here, like I hooked up like my microphone, I got like all my stuff ready, and then when I got on live, it wasn't working for some reason. So something's always gonna happen when you're doing a podcast. And so my last two podcast episodes, I recorded them. I got home, I was like, man, that was a great episode. I'm so happy to publish this. And then I found out the audio was cutting out on some of the interviews, so I couldn't use it, and so that kind of sucks. So my last episode, right, is the one that's out right now. It's called like "Why I Dyed My Hair Blonde," and it's basically, I mean, like my journey going from like, dang, what would my job say if I dyed my hair blonde? What's my family gonna say? What is going from a point where you're too concerned about what everybody else thinks and has to say, to how do you get to a point where like you only care about what it is you think, and you're not living your life worried about what other people might say about you. And so that's the most recent episode I have out. The link is in my bio, and each of those episodes are short. They're like 9 to 10 minutes ish. So yeah.
Okay, that's dope. But you know what, I don't want to take too much of your time. I really appreciate you for being on my show.
Yo, I appreciate the invite, man, and I love your show. I love like the IG content. I think that's a great concept, and I really appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, definitely appreciate that.
Thank you, man. Peace, y'all.
Peace. Let's do another one soon.
Let's do it. I love that. Peace.
All right, peace.